Hello and welcome to week 5 distance learning first math lesson. We're going to be starting a new unit. We're done reviewing the 4th grade material. We're now going to jump into 5th grade material, and we're going to be starting talking about decimals. Now when we look at decimals, we need to think of place value, okay? When I like to think of decimal place value, I like to think about it like money. All right, you got a simple $1 bill. $1 bill is 1 ones right here. It is directly to the left of the decimal point. This decimal point is really important. If you have a $10 bill, that is 1 tens, get it? And it is 2 places away from the decimal. And if you have a $100 bill, that is 1 hundreds. And it is 1, 2, 3 places away from the decimal point. Well, now let's take a look at the numbers on the right side of the decimal place. If you have a dime, that equals a tenth. Be sure to put the TH in there. And it is 1 place to the right of the decimal point. If you have 10 dimes, then you bump over to a dollar or to the ones place. All right. Now, if you have a penny is in the hundredths place, which is 2 places to the right of the decimal. We call it hundredths because you need 100 pennies to equal a dollar. 10 pennies equals a dime. 100 pennies equals a dollar. Here's another way to think about it. Same idea, just a little bit different of a chart. The decimal point is in the middle. Dollars are in the ones. Dimes are in the tenths. Pennies are in the hundredths. So if I have, let's say this, we would read that as $2.48 because I have 2 whole dollars, 4 dimes, and 8 pennies. Okay? Or I could look at it this way. That one I would read as $0.60 because I have $0 bills, 6 dimes, and 0 pennies. All right, now let's jump into our lesson now that we've built that background knowledge. My first place to the left of the decimal, I'm going to make a huge decimal point that you can see, is my ones place, or I can think of it as my dollars. My second place, which is actually the first place to the right, is my tenths place. 2 places to the right, hundredths, and now 3 places to the right, thousandths. Okay, now when I look at my decimals, this is my whole number, decimal point. This I can think of as being like a fraction over 10. This one I can think of as a fraction over 100. This one I can think of as a fraction over 1,000. All right. So what we're going to be practicing today is writing out fractions, saying their name, and writing them as decimals. Let's start with an easy one. When you read that, you might say 6/10. But remember, we're thinking of in the terms of tenths, hundredths, thousandths. What do you think this looks like? A 10, 100, or 1,000th? Very good, it's a tenth. So what that means is, when I have my decimal place value, like what I just drew up before, decimal point, ones place, decimal point, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Because this is a 10, I'm going to put my top number in that first point. So it becomes 6/10. I can put zeros in the other places. And a way I can write it shorthand would look like this. Just 0, and, I say and when I put the decimal, 6/10. I don't need the zeros after it, but I do need the zeros before it. Make sense? I need the zeros to the left. I don't really need the zeros to the right. So my answer, 6/10 becomes 6/10. All right, let's do that again. All right, what if I have a number that looks a little bit bigger? What if I have 71/100? Well, let's draw out our decimal places again. Ones, decimal point, tens, hundreds, thousands. In fact, let's make that decimal point nice and big. All right. Well, what number is on the bottom? Very good. Hundreds on the bottom. So if hundreds on the bottom, that means I need to start writing my number in the hundredths place. So I write 71, put the 1 here, the 7 goes right next to it like what I see in the fraction. And now I fill in the rest of the places with zeros. All right. And then when I write my answer, I'm going to call it 0 and 71/100ths. Remember, if the zero's to the left, I need it. If it's to the right, I don't need it. 71/100 I would read as a fraction as 71/100ths. And I would write as a decimal 71/100th. It's the same number. All right, guys, let's do that one more time. Let's say I have a number that looks like this. (349/1,000). All right, I'm going to write out my place values again. Ones, decimal point, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Okay, well, what number is on the bottom? Very good, thousandths. That means I need to start writing my number. 9, 4, 3, and now I fill in the rest of the places with zeros. So I would read this as 0 and 349/1000ths. So if I'm going to write my answer out, I do need the zeros that are to the left, so I need that 0, decimal point, 349/1000ths. So I read this fraction as 349/1000ths. I read the decimal as 349/1000ths. All right, guys, go ahead and put that into practice on your assignment today.